So I shot a really long video, and hey presto, the camera's like died on me. Oh dear. And so here I am again, hoping that this time the camera will not die on me and I can try and get my ideas out, my thoughts and feelings. But you know, I've just like shot my bolt. I've just discussed everything I wanted to discuss for over half an hour. So I'm going to take some nicotine, see if I can perk my head up that way and try and get some ideas, thoughts and feelings out so that, you know, I'm not wasting your time. Right, but this video will be shorter because I should be in bed. Right. Imagine it like this. You've got a light bulb, a brilliant white light bulb. It's white light, so it's giving off all the colors of the spectrum. White light, working. Then you shove it in a box, so you only got a beam of light coming out of it. Okay? White light, beam of light. Then you put a filter in the middle of it, and that's red. So you got red light coming out. The red filter has excluded all the rest of the information, all the other frequencies of light. Okay? Then you get something like a silhouette, like say a silhouette of a tree. Alright, silhouette of a tree. So you then do that thing, and you've got yourself a projection of a tree on a screen with a red sky around it. Looks quite nice. But why am I saying that? Because I'm trying to communicate to you my thoughts and feelings about something really rather weird and wonderful, which of course most people on my channel know that I have some kind of curiosity for. And that is of course the strange, the weird, the unusual, the magical, and the occult. And I have a curiosity about these things because there is a real genuine natural force out there which I've experienced in many different ways over a period of, let's be honest, my entire friendly life. On and off, different periods, different times, and all the rest of that. With age and experience, we kind of like develop a bit of perspective as to what could actually have been happening when we tried to do something, and in what ways we tried to do things right, and what ways we tried to do things that was wrong. So here I am today, once again telling you, once again, it's wrong to use the phrase magic works because it deludes people, but let's think about what my little projector analogy is trying to teach you. Right. If the light bulb represents you in your waking state of consciousness, right? Because like right now, you don't know whether you're going to, you know, when you wake up in the morning, are you going to get the washing on first, or are you going to leave that to when you come back from the appointment, and then you got to do this, you got to do that, and oh my God, that's outstanding, and all this, you know, day-to-day life. You know, it's all going on there. That's your brilliant white light. Tons of information, tons of frequency, tons of this, that, and the other. Bam. So you want to slow it down. So you do the preparatory exercises. So that's body scan, meditation, chakras, and ascension. All right, you do that as long as it takes to do those things prior to doing your thingy bob. Of course, you would have dedicated a fair period of time to practicing those things in order to make sure that your neurogenesis and neuroplasticity would help you to do it, won't you? Maybe 40 days, because essentially that's enough time for your brain to actually develop new brain cells and build a really good structure to be able to do something. Just a little tip for you there. Alright, so brilliant white light, preparatory exercises, the box around it providing a beam of light. So you've removed some of the extra energy or illumination, whatever it is you want to call it. It's a bad analogy, I know, but it'll have to do for now. Then you put the color filter in, right? The color filter represents whatever it is that you've done in order to try and enhance the feeling that everything that you're doing is for a particular purpose, within a particular element, within a particular planet, within a particular color scheme, whatever, or just a mood, or indeed the energy of a particular deity which you happen to like or want to have some variety of interaction with for some particular reason. Okay? That's kind of like putting the color filter in place. But then the color filter has done nothing apart from to change the energy or the flavor or the moods and so on and so forth of what it is you're doing. That's all it's doing, okay? The red light. All the blue, green, yellow has all been excluded. Just the red. Pure frequency of red light. But then you want to shape it. And you shape it with the intention and with the perception and, of course, you know, your words and the meaning being communicated by all of these things. And that's represented by the silhouette of the tree. Okay? And so the photons come from the chaotic environments. You know, it's being turned into a thin beam of light. It's being controlled. It's being tamed. Okay? You're controlling and taming your mind with your preparatory exercises. then you're focusing it more with, I don't know, your color candles, the names of your deity, whatever it is that's really important to you, or just like talking about love and anything, just that's what you're doing there. And then you carry on, the light carries on passing through, it passes through the filter, carries on going, and hits the tree. All right? And then a shape of light is produced, all right, around the silhouette of the tree. So that's kind of like when you're sending your intention out. It provides, there's a shape, there's a structure, there's a form, there's a message, there's information, and it's being delivered. What I've noticed about the circle casting is that the circle can be felt. The circle can sometimes, in a state of greater sensitivity, be perceived. Okay, this is just like the way it's been for me. I have noticed when doing chanting and building energy up in a circle and reaching the point of spiritual climax, when you're setting a shockwave of energy out when you declare your wish or your intention to the universe, that shockwave does seem to permeate the walls of the circle. Okay, it does seem to, but you've got to have reached that point. So that's rather a lot of chanting, meditating, holding your attention on the thing, allowing yourself to feel the change of states of consciousness, and carry on building it up, adding a bit more speed, a bit more energy, a bit more focus, a bit more euphoria, a bit more something. What's your and then you say your word, you make a wish, and something has come out of you. You don't know quite what it is or what it means or what it's about. But that's essentially, that's the formula. That's essentially the formula of the whole thing. And of course, afterwards, you then, banish a circle the way you would in the traditional way, because, it's like there is psychological stuff involved in this, because like your mind is affecting the reality. Crowley suggested that after you've done that and you've closed down your circle, you breathe it all in, you absorb it back into you. Any residual bits of blobs of energy you put around, just put it back into you. He suggested that they could lurk around and become evil. I don't think that's the case. They can be like dead or gone energy, which can have some psychological effects on you in a minor way, or just like act like a tempting spirit and just mutter things to you. But on the other hand, is that actually a genuine reflection of what's actually happened, or is that actually just a bit of toxicity in your body which is affecting the function of your brain, making you feel like you've got, a negative, evil intention talking to you? I think it's more to do with bodily toxicity when it comes to those things. It could be that the negative energy latches onto negative things inside the body and then stays around for a while. It could be, but we don't know that for sure. Okay, so if you're concerned about that sort of thing, then get into your, doing the things with the stage, because of the experience I had when I was quite young, and when I was very, very ill. Okay. And I got the incenser, put the block of charcoal in it, took lots of sage from my mother's kitchen, poured it on top, and placed my head over the rising smoke. And I felt like voices, personalities, ideas, and things being taken out of my head, with the rising smoke taking it away from me. All right. So I think the sage smoke does reduce dead or gone energy and lower energy to a certain extent. They call it smudging, and I think there is something real about that. It's part of the energetic process. If you want to care for your spiritual hygiene within the place of your living, then a little bit of sage smoke would actually do some good. There's something genuine to that. Something, but we still got questions. I mean, this is a subject which you can't stop asking questions about. All right, it is just like getting a mask and snorkel on a summer holiday and going into a rock pool and doing a bit of snorkeling. Okay, you couldn't see what's in the rock pool until you put your mask and snorkel on, at least in my analogy. Okay, but when you do put it on and you look into the rock pool, you see these things of like shape and size and color and things moving, and it's all rather weird. But from that, how could you extrapolate to what's going on inside the furthest oceans? We cannot do that. All right, so when you do have an experience, whether it's an angel experience, a deity experience, a ghost experience, whatever, remember that there's a limitation to what you're actually able to see, what you're able to experience, what you're able to extrapolate from that thing. All right? The exercises which help you to develop greater sensitivity does involve the body scan meditation, the chakra visualizations, and of course, especially ascension meditation, which when you're visualizing yourself going up and 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 up, and you carry on going up and up and up as hard as you can. Aleister Crowley used some very strong language when talking about that exercise. He called it rising the planes. All right, it's basically the ascension meditation I'm describing here, but explained through his eyes. There is something about that which does open you up to experiences from things which appear to be guides and spiritual beings. When you are in your circle and you're doing your invocation and you want it to come, part of your sense of perception should be upwards, but not upwards like geographically, so to speak, but upwards in terms of moving through different layers of reality. It has to feel like that, so that you're actually calling up through places to whoever it is and asking them to come down. Occasionally, these are rare, you will get experiences which will be unbelievably strange, because you will have what seems like a visitation of some type. So there'll be a geezer standing there, you know. So in your analysis afterwards, it's not a question of, oh, I saw my spirit guide. You might have done, all right, but you might not have done. So it's a question of just describing the experience. This is the whole point. I can't say, well, I had a visitation from Odin. No, you didn't know. You had an experience of a certain type and of a certain classification which had certain key features to it. And if we're going to analyze this objectively, then what we have to do, objectively, is to use language which is appropriate to communicate this to other people. So I can say I saw two figures there, that one appeared to be male, one appeared to be female, they appeared to be very old people, they were dressed in clothing which appeared to be of a certain era, and they appeared to react in a certain way. But when you're looking back on it, you got to think about, did they actually react the way a human being would react? Therefore, was that a disembodied consciousness, or was that, you know, one of your own little delusions? What kind of experience was happening around you? What was your sensory perception like at the time? What were your feelings? What was the mood? How did the lighting appear to be in the room at the time? I mean, I had that kind of experience in semi-astral projection long time ago. And obviously it was weird. And I've learned that when you're in that experience, you treat it, you know, you treat it as it's real. Because that's the way that your mind would be able to understand and interact with the experience that way. So you treat them as if they're people and talk to them as if they're people, just to see what happens. It is a very strange subject, and there are some very strange people involved in it, yes I know. Everything I've been trying to do with this channel over the past 17 years or so that I've been running it has been to try and show you people that there's other ways of doing it. You don't need to use religious language, you don't need to use spiritual language as much. These things can actually distort people's perceptions of reality. It is important to attempt to try and look at this stuff objectively, and to move forward with your understanding in small steps. Because if you try and do it in big leaps, you are going to make mistakes. You can't make the leap to magic works. You can't make the leap to I'm a powerful magician or I'm a powerful witch. You can't do that. Not if you're actually a thinking person. If you're a very stupid person, then you would. But hopefully, if you're someone who watches my channel, you're someone who's got a bit more of a brain in your head. So maybe you can be a bit more refined with your thinking. Alright? I mean, I've met a fair few people who were within the pagan religion who were perfectly rational, decent individuals. But I've also met those who get very damaged very quickly, because they have a need to develop a particular result because of the problems in their life. And there's so much vulnerability around at the moment, I think it's even more important that we use our language with great care. Saying to anybody magic works is ridiculous. Okay, we're talking about experiential experimental art form, which is essentially an eccentric form of prayer and mediumship with a bit of spiritual healing thrown in. You know, you've got to be more of like a Newt Scaramango when dealing with these things rather than a Harry Potter. You've got to be looking at, oh, that's an interesting thing. Let's see what its behavior is. We'll see what kind of things is out there. Let's try and study this, right? Rather than, Exo Petronius or whatever. You're not the kind of magician who has power over the universe. You're the kind of practitioner who is learning spiritual experience and learning what spiritual experience could hypothetically do. But it remains hypothetical, and it remains in a state of there's still plenty of things that we don't know. The whole exercise does overlap with religion. Yes, of course it does. But it's not about that. It's about these experiences and what they could possibly suggest about what we are as creatures, which I think is, even with the most rudimentary analysis, is pretty mind-blowing. It's, complicated. And because it's complicated, we cannot use simple language when talking about this stuff. We cannot. We must not. It is wrong for us to engage with a complicated subject using simple language. It's not black and white. It's not it works, it doesn't work. It's a question of it's best to look at this stuff as something which doesn't work, but does create weird experiences on the way. And from these weird experiences, then we can do some rational extrapolation. But we always have questions, not answers. Always questions, not answers. Always questions, not answers. If someone presents themselves as having all the answers, then they probably aren't asking enough questions. I can describe to you the kind of things that I've done, and I can tell you the kind of things which could possibly happen if you carry on doing it. But that's all I can do. And I think that's all any of us can do. The insistence that magic works is wrong. Okay? Think about the goal, which is to build an understanding for human communication, human understanding, and human well-being. Think about that. And think about using your language well and appropriately so that you don't fall prey to jumping to leaps and bounds and massive conclusions. I mean, there's a limitation to your knowledge. There's definitely limitations to mine. Definitely. We aren't going to be, we aren't going to be the people who are going to understand everything. You're not going to destroy Christianity.